Hello everybody, my name's James, welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 15 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your future FPL planning, and it comes in very useful now when we know we will later in this season have a Liverpool double game week. That is because today's lunchtime fixture at Everton at Goodison Park has been postponed, and FPL can't move the deadline. I don't understand why. I also don't really care. It means I get to finish my work there a little bit earlier. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I had to change loads of the graphics because of the postponement. It is 10 a.m. We are 55 minutes away from the Game Week 15 FPL deadline. Between now and 11 a.m. I'll be trying to get through as many of the FPL dilemmas as possible asked by yourselves. Repeat/similar questions may well be skipped, and the answer to your question could well be on screen. Let me take you through some of the graphics. I'm rolling a transfer. Captaincy moves to Cole Palmer. It means Antoine Semenyo starts for me. So I'm going Raya, Porro, Gabriel Hall, Saka, Vice, Palmer captain, Rogers, Semenyo, Jackson, João Pedro and Isak. 8 Norrie first cover on the bench. Below that, you'll see my predicted lineups for the 18 teams playing in Game Week 15. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for each game this game week and my captaincy in order of preference. I will tell you the top 5 is Palmer, Watkins, Haaland, Jackson and Saka. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see upcoming fixtures and all the flagged players as per FPL's website over the next. The fixtures are over the next 5 game weeks. And above that and below me, the benching dilemmas, which was going to be really, really important this week. But I presume nobody really wants to sell Mo Salah, and therefore that dilemma you had is probably now playing. But there are a load there. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start. They run in order from left to right, pages 1 to 4, and you'll also find some goalkeepers there on the rotation for page 5 as well. Right, that's the graphics covered, and as said, that is going to answer, I think, quite a number of your questions already. Let's get into the chat then. First up is Billy Taylor, says Wagwan J Lins, which 4.4 million and under defender do you fancy for the long term to replace Mikalenko? Currently thinking Lisandro Martinez or potentially Dean Huijsen. The answer is Joachim Andersen. That's the conclusion I came to last night. And obviously he's injured and we don't really want to buy him now for Arsenal and Liverpool, even if he wasn't. So, entry point for me, looking at Porro to Joachim Andersen game week 17 is now my plan. And that might open me up Semenyo to Diogo Jota. Whoop! That's it. That's the new plan. Simple as that. I actually managed to take the time to figure it out last night. I don't believe any of them are worth it. I think in long term, Billy, I think Lewis Hall. Actually, should still be 4.4, isn't he? This doesn't feel great for this week, Brentford away. But I think looking really long term, yeah, I think Lewis Hall probably, mate, would be my call. I've got him. I think of the Bournemouth ones, I think we know Marcus Senesi has a serious thigh injury, but we don't know quite how serious. If it's like 3 months, then Huijsen becomes a really interesting call at 4.3. I don't mind that. Martinez, I think, is a certain starter for Manchester United, and we don't have many of them at the moment. Fucking dull, isn't it? Yeah. And I don't think the cover in forthcoming weeks is as good as it potentially looks, but it does look good for this week. I totally understand that. By the way, if you're watching, guys, whether it's live or on repeat, smash a like. Not even 10% of you have done that yet. It's free content, everyone. It doesn't cost anything to press that button, and it's helpful. Chris Randall says he's now a Mo Salah double game week projected by you as week 25 an absolute no-brainer for triple captain. No, not at all, because they might have an even better one later in the season as well. Yeah, look, I'll explain this in more detail on Monday, but the most likely game week is game week 25. The most immediate one to obviously answer, which I have already been asked, is there any chance it gets rearranged for midweek? Absolutely none. Liverpool are playing Girona in Spain on Tuesday, so there is 0% chance of it staying in this week. Is no chance, basically, of it being before the end of this year. So it'll be 2025, so we've got time to explain that in more detail on Monday, and I will run through the possibilities there and explain the reasoning why game week 25 is the most likely. Liverpool's other fixture in that game week is Wolves at home. I mean, look, if it does land there, yeah, it will be very interesting. We do have Manchester City away the week after. Ross Cordingley says plan was Lewis or 8 Norrie to Trent. Either of those to Timber or Roll and get Trent next week. How desperate are you for Trent, mate? I mean, get Timber, yeah, it's kind of been my advice to pretty much everyone anyway. So, like, if you don't have full complement of Arsenal players. JP says, hi, mate, cracking weather. Any thoughts of doing a Salah KDB hokey cokey? Absolutely none. No. I can understand it a little bit more for those who bought really late, but the value I lose in Mo and then a whole week of waiting to buy him back, it's not worth it for me, no. If City had a better fixture today, you know, Ipswich at home or something like that, then there would maybe be a little bit of a temptation. I did look at the possibility of taking the -4 for Haaland, but I looked at it last night. Effective, it becomes a -8 because I'd only be reversing it again straight away. So, no, not worth it for me. I'd, like many people, I think a really good first sub this week, so we just go. I kind of had my doubts about captain Mo this week anyway, because of it being the Merseyside derby. It being the early kick-off, the weather, to be honest, the biggest one it being Everton's last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. So now be a night game, which is much better for Evertonians. But I didn't have enough reason to go against him. So, to be honest, it wasn't really much debate for me on captaincy either. It's just I'm going Palmer because I was half tempted to do it anyway. I think Watkins is the best alternative. That's the one I kind of looked at this morning. You think, can I? It wouldn't make sense for me to remove Isak or Jackson. But those who are unhappy with their forwards might want to look at a path. And that might be one where it's worth flipping. Because there's every chance you'll want to move Watkins on to something cheaper next week that might allow a route back. Zubi says, good morning, sir. I'm locked on making a goalkeeper transfer this week. Who should I replace Flecken with? 0 in the bank, thinking Kepa at the moment. 5th for XGC and the best defensive fixtures for the next 6 game weeks. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, look, Flecken's at home, Kepa's away. I understand what you're saying. I probably wouldn't bother. Just play Flecken today. Newcastle have the ability to be quite wank away from home. I fancy them to win today, actually. But I probably wouldn't bother, actually. Look again next week, and there's some teams that their fixtures will look better. Maybe Verbruggen, nice alternative, but I think that's more of a next week transfer than this, for that specifically. Zed says, hi James, my front three is Jackson, Cunha, Pedro. How and when do I get Isak? Happy with these three, but do see Isak's upside. Well, the reality is you're not, because you're not binning Cunha next week. You'd have to be now. You're not binning Pedro next week, and you're only binning Jackson if he gets suspended, so you're not. AC7 says, hi James, any defenders worth a -4 this week? Not happy with Lewis, 8, Nori, Mikalenko. Same as always, buddy. You got players who are going to play. We're taking a -4. I get the want to move Mikalenko. You've obviously got Gabriel as a doubt. Who's your other one? If your other one's playing, probably fine. -4, nah, not happy with that. I imagine Gabriel will play. Mind you, I did say that on Tuesday as well. Gazman says, good morning, James. The plan Lewis to Robertson with exact fans. Plan B was Lewis to Hall. That's not confusing. And Solanke to Watkins for a hit. Faults. Good luck this game. I don't mind that hit. But you don't need to do Lewis to Hall for a hit. You could just do Solanke to Watkins for free, right? Just thinking about that more. There's no need to make that other one. I don't think there's enough up in that. Your effective -4 is actually Hall over Lewis. So I don't think that's worth it. But getting Watkins in, yeah, you're going to get a thumbs up from me. But you will want to move it next week, so factor that in. Thomas Powell says, hi James, hope you're doing well. Hope everyone stays safe and has a good weekend. Remember everyone, it's just a game meant for fun. Good luck everyone, and remember the answer is on the screen. Not always, Thomas, but I truly appreciate that. Thank you. We're unlikely to get any leaks this morning, aren't we, kids? That's a damn shame, isn't it? Eddie R says, hey James, would you do Brennan to Mitoma or just roll and play Brennan? Yes, I'd just roll and play Brennan, mate. Also start Dean this week or bench for 8 Nori because Dean is a miniaturist. Sorry if I'm benching dilemmas. Cheers. No, it's not, mate, and that's fine. I don't think Luca Dean will start this week, but he might, and I'd still be playing Dean first. He's got it with the fixture in there. You got that sort of player playing Southampton at home. It's like you wouldn't forgive yourself really for letting it go, so I'd just play Dean. 8 Nori's a fucking 1-pointer anyway, mate. Sean Reed, good morning. If not Gameweek 25, when will the derby get rescheduled? I'll go into that in more detail on Monday because it's not a 30-second answer, mate. As I said, I'll cover it in more detail on Monday. FPL Uproar says, morning James, Bumo to Mitoma /Gordon. or Vissa to João Pedro. 0.9 million in the bank. Would like to do Lewis to VVD next week. Can afford with either Mitoma or Gordon move. Cheers. None. Roll. This is kind of the solution, I think, for owners of Brentford attackers is take this week and the power of having 2 free transfers next week give you way more flexibility. Billy Taylor says, also having taken a hit to get rid of Isak last week, shall I reverse the transfer to bring him back in and captain for Cunha and then drop Brennan Johnson to Diallo or Rodgers? Nah, it's a no for me. We've got Johnson, I'd be holding that at the moment, Billy. Colin Johnson says, morning James, hope you're good, mate. Play Flecken or Fabianski, Dunk or 8 Nori. Dunk or 8 Nori. Dunk, but I haven't got him in my predicted Brighton lineup. I think most people would disagree with that. On that basis, I'm going to say to you, Lewis Dunk. Flecken or Fabianski, Flappy fixture. Next up is Stephen Moore. Sorry, so hi James. Would you do Boomer to Rodgers? Worried about Rodgers benching with the LFC game off. I have no bench. We'll need to move Boomer to similar price to Rodgers next week anyway to afford Trent. As just covered, no. And let's be honest, even if Rodgers is a sub, he's probably getting on. Aaron Hill says, hi James, bench one of Rodgers and Amad Diallo. Cheers and all the best. If you've got Rodgers, for the majority of you, it's really going to be play now, isn't it? I'm kind of, for anyone who's got Salah and is just going benching this week, I'm kind of failing to see how you're not just playing Morgan Rodgers. Yes, there is a chance he gets benched. So what? Truly. It's same with the Luke Dean answer. You've got it, you just got to play it, and yeah, I think. Steamroller says, hello legend, nice prediction for Everton Liverpool. Yeah, I got that 100% right, didn't I? You have Captain Dilemma, Palmer, Isak or Kudos. The preference is with Palmer. Robbie Granger says, hi James, not sure what to do with my defence. I have Porro, Gabriel, Van Heck, Greaves and Mikalenko. I have 0.7 and 1 free transfer. Thanks for all the hard work. Bin Mikalenko, mate. Straight as Bin Mikalenko. If it's free transfer, that's the one. Everton's fixtures are rancid now for 10 weeks. You're never going to start Mikalenko. You might as well have a 4.0 there because you're not going to be picking Mikalenko for a while. So bin that, mate. Candidates for you. I think I'd avoid Brighton at the moment because of a little bit of confusion about the system the other night. So I'd skip that for now. If you want to wait and then reinvest in Brighton next week with a bit more information, that's fine. Kirkes or Hoyson at Bournemouth, Levi Colwell at Chelsea, Lewis Hall at Newcastle. United players is a bit dull, but probably Martinez at this moment in time. There's a few for you, mate. Next up is JP. Which two to start out of Nori, Hall, Van Heck, Robinson? Why hasn't FPL Deadline been pushed forward? I can't speak for FPL, mate. I'm not part of the cartel. Be playing Hall and Van Heck, mate. Nikolai says, morning James, I'm hoping as a Haaland owner I can finally punish today. Imagine if Salah outscores Haaland this week. Like, kind of willing it just for shits and giggles that Haaland gets sent off, right? Could you imagine he blanks and gets sent off today, mate, and have -1, -2 and be like, what the actual? I guess now, for us who have not been on Haaland, like we're competing against with our effective first sub. So I'm Semenyo versus Haaland now this week. And Haaland owners, I hope that makes you feel better this week. If you've got, obviously you hold now, without a doubt, and seize the moment, I guess. Next up is Alex MJ87. Hi James, would you do Wood to Watkins for a -4 and captain? Palmer cap otherwise. Yeah, I'd be tempted by that. Again, really repetitive here, but there are so many forwards who are going to look unbelievable next week. You will want to move Watkins back on. You want to factor that for that hit. Was kind of say, like, how do you measure hits? I think with that, you have to measure that on this week. Not only are you measuring on buying Watkins for Wood for a -4, so Watkins needs to outscore him by that amount of points. You also want Watkins to outscore Palmer by a certain amount as well because you're taking the captaincy off of Palmer. Add that in. And if you feel confident, Alex, you got my permission to go, buddy. Mitchell Joseph says, hi James, finally bought Salah on Thursday night after holding Haaland for weeks. You can't make it up. He does send a laughing emoji. Good luck this game. And to you too, Mitchell. I feel your sympathy, mate, and your pain. Because I think on Thursday night you couldn't have foreseen this. If people bought last night, then I've got kind of little sympathy because there was so much information going around saying that this game really is in danger. Ian PTSD says, morning James, where would Milenkovic appear on the bench in Dilemma? Right at the bottom, mate. Yeah, he'd be below everybody that you see on screen. Matt Bryant says, we're just about to post a similar question to Billy Taylor, so we'll skip and instead wish you all in the chat an enjoyable and safe weekend. Thank you, mate. Yeah, smash a like if you're watching live, mate. Wow, what are we up to now? About 17-18% of you smash a like. Doesn't cost anything, kids. It would be truly appreciated. Fancy Newbie 24 says, hey James, hope you and the family are well. What are your thoughts on transferring Boomer out for Bowen this week? Thanks for the quality content. Smash a like, guys. Again, I really think for Boomer owners, it's probably just stick with this week and you move next week. And the flexibility of an additional transfer allows for your Boomer replacement to not necessarily be someone like Bowen, but it might allow it to be Nicholas Jackson or Trent Alexander-Arnold because you can juggle things about a bit better. And I think that's probably more powerful than making that move to Bowen. I think Bowen is, for this week, great option. But if I was sitting there with Boomer now, and I've decided not to sell him in 14, I'd be holding for this one now, and I'd be selling next week. Sean Reed says, thoughts on Isak captain? I won't say it hasn't crossed my mind. He obviously did really well at Brentford in game week 38. The system that Brentford play could really play into his hands today. But no, I do think there are a few better calls than him. Alex Barrett says, morning James, best defender on a 4.8 million to replace Mikalenko. Already got Kepa. If that affects getting Kirkes, I probably wouldn't want double of them. Thing is as well, you could cut yourself off for treble Bournemouth. I mean, is it that beyond reason to have like Semenyo or Cliver and Evan Nilsson? So I wouldn't want a double. I've given a list of players already, so I'm going to skip by. Preference if you don't have would probably be Hall. But I don't think the timing feels like great, but I think that's a long-term investment. Next up, Zuby says, not a question, but some praise. You three are doing a stellar job. Keep it up. Thank you, Zuby. Appreciate that. Have a great weekend. Billy Taylor says, I heard a rumour that if you don't smash a like on this stream, your captain and vice captain's games will both be called off due to extreme weather. Huge if true. Wow, everyone should smash a like then. Dermot Whelan says, hi James, sell Smith Rowe for either Amad Diallo or Semenyo or another 6 million mid. Thanks. Again, feels a little bit more power in rolling, personally. I get it. Timing wise does feel right to move. I wouldn't go Diallo at this moment. I don't think we got enough information personally, and I'm going to guess it's something you'll need to play semi-regularly. I was disappointed with Semenyo Thursday night. Well, I wasn't playing against my team, but he didn't bother me. I wasn't fearing him, and as a Tottenham supporter I fear most players, and I wasn't. And if I could go back and have my time back, I don't think I'd have bought him, you know. Don't think I'd have bothered. I can't even remember who I sold, actually. Next up is James Brennan. Hi, James. Would you start Hoyson or Rico Lewis? Thanks and have a good weekend. Yeah, Rico Lewis, for me, I think it's a good chance that he starts today, is my take. Colin Johnson says, Timber in for Lewis, Isak in for Wood, for Frey. Got no reason to tell you no on that, Colin. Tom Jansen says, hi, James. Have Gabriel, Porro, Vandenberg, Mikalenko, transfer Kanate to Hall or Colwell, 0 in the bank. Yeah, Hall, I think. Little bit spooked by Colwell getting benched in midweek. No chance he doesn't start tomorrow, by the way. But despite everything I've said about Tottenham, the timing doesn't feel right to kind of do that now. And I suspect you may want another transfer. And it might be this time next week you go, shit, I want to go Cucurella instead or something. So yeah, Hall, I think, at this moment. Gavin Richardson says, hey babes, the biggest team news today could be the weather. I wonder if travel warnings on roads and train disruption could lead to more postponements. Extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely. Well, as I'm quite clear on that. So, yeah, whatever, buddy. As if you're watching live, you tell me, mate. You tell everyone in the chat who I've got that's a better choice this week than that. It's nothing to do with my team, mate. It's the best choice. Connor Boylan says, morning, James. Thoughts on Gay Tavadio and Cunha Tavardi for a hit. Have exact funds. Gay Tavadio, Cunha Tavardi. No, man. No. What are we investing in Vardy for at this point? Fixtures are rancid, mate. No. Jay says, hi James, would you play Diblin, Vandenberg or Greaves? I'd play Diblin because I think in most cases probably the offensive player, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ipswich won tomorrow, actually. But I think, I would probably play Diblin. Firex says, hey James, as a wildcard 18-19, which goalkeeper would you get for Pickford? Currently thinking Raya. Don't think there are many other good goalkeepers. No. You ain't got treble Arsenal, mate. It's straightforward. B Max says, morning start for Bruggen or Flecken. Both seem geared for disappointment. Yeah, I'd say so, but it would be for Bruggen as per the benching dilemmas. Thomas Jones says, morning James, I've got Solanke and Johnson both in my team, 2 free transfers. Do you think it's worth selling them to Isak and Matoma this week or best to roll? If you can just go Solanke to Isak, I'd be quite tempted. Brennan Johnson, I think at the moment, I said this yesterday, I think he's the one Tottenham player. It's probably a hold at the moment. Just don't read anything into Thursday. He played on the left and that's useless for him. CRH27 says, hi James, bench 1, Timber, definitely not. Mats Rowery or Pau Torres, cheers. With reluctance, Pau Torres, mate. King of Mandalore, I don't believe you've got another 2 defenders better than that 3, to be honest. King of Mandalore says, hi James, at what time are people able to submit early questions before the stream starts? I looked for the stream on your channel all morning and couldn't find it, and now there are loads of questions. Basically, mate, I only load up the stream like about a minute or 2 before deadline, mate, because imagine how bad it would be if I just had it sitting there for hours before. There were so many people in now, I'm just going to have to start thinking about doing super chats soon, aren't I? Simon B says, you had that opportunity to ask a question, you didn't. Simon B says, morning, I won't ask the defender for long term, but really prefer Gabriel. Should I just do it today? And if he doesn't play, use bench? Well, I guess it depends what that bench is, Simon. But I don't have too much of a problem with that, actually. Yeah, he's going to be close. If he doesn't play this week, he probably plays next week. I don't hate that. It's kind of it's an interesting one. I don't suppose anyone else is particularly thinking that at the moment. JP, Caps is on the screens. You know what I'm going to say, mate. Pranaya says, hi James, need to sell Dom and BJ. If you're selling BJs, mate, you'll have a load of people getting in touch with you. To upgrade Lewis to Trent in Gameweek 17, sell one of them this week. Or do all 3 moves in Gameweek 17, keep them both for Southampton away. Have 1 free transfer, 0 point at bank. Semenya for Johnson or Welbeck Evan. I lost the will to live, mate. Just roll. Gavin Richardson says, heard a rumour that if you don't smash a like on Christmas Eve, Santa will come down your chimney and will leave you no presents, but will take a dump under your tree. Smash it. Yo. Yeah, no one wants Santa dumping in their house, mate, or nicking the biscuits. Niall McNevin says, hi James, would you do Colwell for Mikalenko after the Merseyside derby cancellation? If so, which one to start out of Greaves, Vandenberg or Colwell? Probably Colwell, in case Tottenham have another bad day. Sean Reed says, this wind is wild, guys, from a windy Merseyside. Stay safe, Sean. Sheriff Gabba says, buy Isak and Amad Diallo for Welbeck and Son this game week to have funds for Trent 16. We'll just get Bowen instead of Ahmad and a 4.7 defender in 16. I kind of like it. I've kind of raised reservations about Diallo, but your binning Son is like a, geez, what is he doing there? King of Mandalore says, is it worth making a defensive transfer if my bench is Trent and Vandenberg? I'm starting Gabriel, could sell Colwell for Hall, but don't sell Colwell, mate. No. Baron Baines says, hi James, should I hold on to Anderson or transfer him out for someone of equal low value? He's currently my 3rd defence man. Keep. I want to buy him in Game Week 17. Tony Senior says, will a -8 to go from Raya to Timber pay off in 4 weeks? Will Timber start in all of the next 4? Bank on it, mate. No, look, I'm there. I'm on Raya. This sort of move would be no consideration for me. Raya may well get outscored by Timber, but probably not by enough to make it worthwhile of 2 transfers for my team, and definitely not for hits, so it's a no, mate. Frederick Hertz says, think you say roll. Bumo and Lewis to Semenya and Gabriel from -4. Defence is biggest issue, and I don't like the cheap ones. Currently playing Dean, 8, Nori and Timber. It's not worth it, mate. FPL Leo, hi James, would you be selling any of your Liverpool? Thanks for your great work. No, fixture's too good coming up. Whatever you've invested in, not playing Everton this week, sell. You want it next week, don't you? So look, there's obviously the factor of your bench and who's available for you or who's not, but I think generally speaking that's a hold. I think there is a little bit of temptation, particularly. This is the kind of the ideal one you think about. Imagine you had 4 free transfers sitting there now, and you could go, shit, do you know what? The upside in using the transfers to get Haaland or Watkins in for free now and steaming into something and then going back could be there. And this is the sort of thing to factor later in the season when we're around blank and double season and stuff like that as well. But no, I would be keeping, mate. Daniel Cullison said, would you start Delap or Rodgers? Rodgers, I think, mate, fixture. Brock Miller says, hi James, could you please suggest a midfielder at 4.7 million or less? Presently have Carvalho. Love the podcast, listen to it most days. Tyler Diblin by a mile, mate. But not to start regularly. Ideal first sub. James Brennan says, hi James, do you hate going Saka and Cunha to Diblin and Haaland in game week 18? Do I hate it? No. Would I do it? No. He's selling Saka when he's got Ipswich at home. I ain't doing that, mate. Florian Meister says, if you had to pick 2 defenders for combined 8.6 million, who would you buy? Would have Mikalenko and Greaves. Besides that, best of luck, and I'm looking forward to your roast of that backline. Is there 2 you can get hold of at 4.3 each, like Hoyson and someone else? It's Anderson's the other one though, isn't it? Ironically though, if I was buying a 4.0, it would possibly still be Graves, or actually it would be a Southampton player, which feels terrible at this moment, but will feel better in a couple of weeks. Hall and Anderson, mate. Even though Anderson's not playing, like moving forward. Rory says, hi James. Captain's on screen, Rory. Meninda Prihar says, got Jackson and Pedro, but sick of Solanke. Where do I move? Watkins if you can. Then Isak. Otherwise, probably don't bother at this moment and wait for next week. But you ain't selling Dom next week, probably. That's probably a good reason to get rid of now. Adosh says, hello, James. On 10 players, including bench, after Liverpool versus Everton postponed, would you do Bumo and a 4.4 million striker to Diblin and Cunha for -4 in order to get 11 was going to make the same next game week? Don't love it, but if it's putting you a player, there's a temptation there. You need to get off the 2 up front as well. I mean, the forwards next week are obscene. Havertz at home to Everton, João Pedro at home to Palace, Evan Nilsson at home to West Ham, Gakpo/Nunes at home to Fulham, Jackson at home to Brentford, Haaland at home to United, Isak at home to Leicester, Cunha and Larsson at home to Ipswich, Solanke away to Southampton. Insane fixtures for the forwards next week. You want 3? I'm going to say yes, mate. Pranaya Sharma says, hi James, need to sell Dom and Johnson to upgrade Lewis to Trent in 70. I feel like I've already answered this one, mate. It's annoying. It just gets you muted around here, mate. I wish you luck. Andre Klim says, hi James, would you do Wood to Evan Nilsson or Roll? Having left Wood for City away, I'd maybe leave that. But again, Wood's got Villa next week. It's fine. But Wood wasn't in those ones I just listed. I think I'd do it. Liam McCartney says, swap Jimenez to Evan Nilsson. Now that I would have to play Jimenez. Yep. Jordan Murphy, do you really think De Bruyne won't start firing? He's told everyone with his own mouth in midweek that he is still in pain. I'm not buying that. Could he? Of course, right? I think he's one of the greatest Premier League players of all time. Phenomenal. Would I be investing in him for FPL at this moment? Absolutely no consideration for me personally. And I've lost my place in this chat. No, I haven't. Bobby96, hi James, would you start Greaves or 8 Nori? 8 Nori would just accept my 1 point. No, actually, no. I'd probably play Greaves maybe. Oh, so shit that. Matthew North, free hit to navigate the postponement. No, please don't do that. Please do not do that. Joe Singh, hi Enzo or Ahmad. Ahmad, because I don't want you to block yourself off of 3 other Chelsea players. IT says, is it worth saying the dollars on Timber over Saliba? Yes, arguably. Simon Coulson, hello, I have Salah but no Saka with 0 in the bank. Moving Salah means I can't get him back without a double move. Worth it or hold? Hold. That's like the Mel Gibson Braveheart, and it hold, mate. Chris Sinamba says, Watkins captain with Jackson Vice. Not sure who to go for there. Any tips? Yeah, play it your way, mate. Homegrown FPL says, morning James, who to buy for Raul Jimenez? 7.6 million to spend. João Pedro. I've already got him. But I don't know that, do I? FPL Risk Taker says timber in for 8 Norrie for a hit for next 5 game weeks. It's tempting. It's tempting. But no, I don't like hits for defenders. If you've got a playing defender, so the answer is no. Roseanne Fleur, who's your opponent in the FPL Cup first round? Probably not you, mate. I couldn't care less. Josh Tellin says, hi James, is holding Boomo for another week insane at this point? No, was covered. Dan Ford says, hey James, great to make this one live. Hope you're well, man. Wood or Lewis bench today? You got Wood, you play most cases, I think, now. Especially if you're a Salah owner. And yeah, you play him over defender anyway. Jerry Darmy, hello Jimbo, non-FPL question. If Brighton can make it into the Champions League, do you think they could face some PSR troubles like Villa and Newcastle when they have to sell key players? Probably not the way that football clubs run, mate. They won't go mad. I think that there's things behind the scenes that cause like some salary issues and stuff like that. Brighton aren't going to start paying people 200 grand a week and that. Sam Salah says, morning James, is it worth doing Salah for Saka free transfer? Look, if you can go Salah to Saka for a free transfer and you're not bothered about the value being lost and you can just reverse that next week, be my guest. But Saka's got Everton next week and you'll find that very difficult. It's a no from me. Structure more important. Simon Eek says, would you do Boomer to Gordon means I can't get Trent until game week 18? I presume that means if you don't, you can't get to Trent to 18. I wouldn't fret on that with Trent. Trent's not in my plan at the moment, to be honest. So you're going to get bias in that. As already covered, Boomer owner, hold this week. Clem Williams says, thoughts on Ahmad for Boomo? Same thing. Going to skip, mate. Jerry Darmy, between Ipswich and Leicester, if you can only pick one to survive relegation, who do you think survives and why? I don't think either of them will, to tell you the truth. I think tomorrow's huge for Ipswich. Absolutely huge. We can't understand or know quite what Avanistor is going to implement and what those changes may be at the moment. I think they're bland as hell, Leicester. They do have experience. Ipswich don't. That might count as the difference. Paul Morgan says, do I buy Semenyo for Johnson's? I need starting cover. I think Brennan Johnson will start. There's a possibility that he doesn't. If he doesn't, he definitely comes off the bench and he's one of the best impact substitutes in this league. Based on what I saw the other night, I wouldn't buy Semenyo at this moment. I just bought him. He's already on chopping block for me. With, like I said, potential moves looking at for me towards Jota in a couple of weeks. Chris Church says, thoughts on Madueke as a future option, not being talked about as a Boomer replacement, but better underlines the most touted options. Started 12 out of 14 so far. What am I missing? You're probably missing Enzo Maresca's comments in midweek, which was quite critical of Madueke. And I actually think, though I think they should play him tomorrow, I think there's every chance that he won't start. That'd be enough for me to say no. Nikolai says, United Forest isn't in danger, James. Not as far as we're aware, mate. I've heard absolutely nothing. Manchester's obviously going a little bit more inbound from Liverpool. So no, as far as I'm aware, there is no issues. For our patrons, if we are hearing anything information-wise, please tag me on Slack with any relevant sources you've got. Please double-check sources because we know that some people like to go on a wind-up at this stage. But we're not expecting anything between now and deadline. Reminder, guys, if you're watching live, smash a like. I see loads of you in here, probably not normally in here because some other content creator hasn't been able to do their deadline stream today. Whoever that is, tell them I said hello, lots of love, have a great weekend. Alex Barnister says, would you captain Palmer or Isak? My captain's on screen. I've been clear what I'm doing. Alex, wish you luck. Mark Buchanan says, any love for Bowen captain? What I'm currently on. Wish you luck, Mark. Not particularly is the answer. Sean McGee plays for West Ham. That's the biggest thing. But as a rogue punt for this week, I mean, he's on the top 10. Sean McGing says, morning, James. I see most predicted Villa lineups don't have Dean. Worth getting rid for Colwell. Can't really afford non-starting given Salah and only 2 times 4 million defenders on the bench. But what are those 2 times 4 million defenders on the bench? If one's like Greaves, it's fine, mate. Sean Horgan says it's a no. Sean Horgan says at least the game getting called off solves my benching decision. Feel like punting on Saka captain. Feel Palmer will be more popular. Palmer will definitely be more popular. I don't think there's any doubt on that. Dreaming FPL says, hi James, initial plan was doing Mikolenko to Trent. However, now thinking Vardio will roll. My other defenders are Gabriel, 8 Norrie, Lewis, Greaves was back up, roll. Has on the screen, mate. Tommaso Salvadori. Hi, James. Excuse me. I sold Kanate on Watkins for Trent and Jackson last game week. Blank for Jackson. No game for Trent and no Watkins for captain this week. Ouch. That's him saying that, not me. Daniel Hazlitt. Hi, James. Who's the best Mikolenko replacement? Kirkis seems the most obvious choice. Or should I look elsewhere? Love the pods. Sounds like you've already made your mind up, mate. So I wish you luck. B Don24 says, who would you captain if you had a free hit? Cole Palmer. It's top the shop for me this week. Just over Watkins. It wouldn't make a difference. Excuse me. Stephen Brown says, which three would you pick? 8 Norrie, Gabriel, Lewis, Robinson, Cash. I was going to say the 3 players, but that doesn't make sense. Gabriel, Lewis, Cash. Devon Keys, hey mate, to have 2 threes. Solanke and Boomer to Isak and Semenyo. Iwobi or roll 2 3 threes. The only problem with the rolling is you'll find it more difficult to move Solanke next week. And I get it, you want to downgrade Boomer to get to Isak, but it doesn't feel like a desperate to do this week. Roll. There may still be some justification in that move next week. Dreaming FPL says, what do you think of the following -8? Raya to Forster. Boomer to Diblin. Sounds good so far. Jackson to Haaland. I retain Gabriel, Saka, Salah and Palmer. No. I don't bench Nicholas. Don't sell Nicholas Jackson, honestly. Ryan Walker and the other two, it's not making your team better. No. It's a -8 for Haaland, isn't it? I get it. I looked at it myself. No. Ryan Walker says, hi James, removing Smith Rowe this week, buying Mitoma or Rodgers. I have 6.8 million to spend. If I'm buying now, I'm buying Mitoma out of that. Chris Davison says, hi James, hope you're all good. Thoughts on Morgan Rodgers, an alternative captaincy punt this weekend. Was planning to captain Palmer before the Everton-Liverpool postponement, so why would that change? There has to be a chance here that Rodgers doesn't start, let's be real. So captaincy is no consideration. Sebastian Elgar Cooks, free hit, thoughts James, definitely don't do it. Be way more useful for you later in the season, I absolutely promise you. And Man Khan says, hi James, would you start Dibbling or Lewis Hall? Thank you. Probably Dibbling. Zach, Porro over 8 Norrie. Yes, because of Porro's potential to just smash one in, mate. Birth Media, does Suj know? Did you call him? Suj has been messaging me this morning. Yep, he's on the case. I think he's going to captain Watkins, by the way. He owns already, so I think he wants to do it. But I think he might be a bit scared about Palmer's EO, which is, with the Salah news, is going to be pretty big now, I think. Thomas Jefferson says, hello, roll and play Smith Rowe versus Arsenal. I'll use my 1 free transfer to switch in for Semenyo. Was hoping to build up some transfers for Christmas, but no major plans to overhaul in the coming weeks. Cheers. Yeah, feels like it's more in the only thing is you do look at the next 2, and even like Semenyo playing West Ham next week, Smith Rowe going to Liverpool. I know our Fulham correspondent Lewis James doesn't think Smith Rowe will start. I do. He doesn't. He was absolutely right about everything on COTC on Thursday. So if that helps sway you, yeah, I don't mind it. I can see the temptation of going to Semenyo. Just personally, I wasn't that impressed with him Thursday night from a fantasy perspective. Donny FPL says, morning mate, wish you well for this game week. Non-Saka owner here. From next week on, it feels Saka is vital. Shift Haaland out to get Saka worth it, you feel. If you've got Haaland this week, surely you're going to keep. And then you can do that next week, mate. Matty Mashin says, hi James, I've covered about Bowen just for someone else, wish you luck. Zach Jones says, would you start Matsuro, Rico Lewis, Matsuro? Joey Kneecap James, start Dunk or Raul Jimenez? Would start the forward, mate. I think Jimenez will play. Wayne Svenden says, is it worth losing 4 points to replace Van Dijk for Gabriel? My opinion would be no. Yvette says, looking forward to... What do you mean, my opinion? It's definitely no. Yvette says, looking forward to seeing you guys at Ibrox. We'll be close to you in the Sandy Jardine stand. Have a great visit to Glasgow. Thank you, Yvette, and wish you luck for Thursday. Jordan Speller says, hi James, what games are most at risk of postponement? Heard Crystal Palace Stadium is susceptible to waterlogged pitch. It's raining. I'm in London. It's raining here, but not like ridiculously. So you shouldn't have any concerns from that perspective, mate. And if Palace kicks off in 4 hours, I think you'd know by now if there was a problem there. Martin Cumberland says, Gordon versus Bumo, who's better? In terms of buying new, Gordon. But would I switch Bumo to Gordon this week? No. Finley Scanner says, start Davis or 8 Norrie. I have the lapse and not sure on double Ipswich. I'd be starting Davis. Bogdan says, hi James, went for Arnold triple up in Liverpool. Now all of the warmer bench, but the question is Cap, Bowen or Palmer, or is Jackson overlooked for captain? Kind of done it, Bogdan. Good luck. Joey Kneecap says, James, general thoughts on Ange going forward. Will he Spurs and or the fans stick it out, or is the end fast approaching? I fucking hope not, mate, and that's all I'm going to say because I'm tired of talking about it. KDB17 says, hi James, thanks for the content. Greetings from Greece and to you too. Have a good weekend. Sam Streak says, hey James, good luck this weekend. If you had Cunha up top, would you still play Flappy over Flecken? Don't have any Newcastle assets. No, I play Flecken. Nicky Kassam says, morning pal, hope you're well. Would you consider playing Flecken over Fabianski purely if you don't... Is that the same question twice? Fucking near enough, mate. Just answered, Nicky. Good luck, pal. King of Mandalore says, Vandenberg to Huijsen and bench one of 8 Nori Colwell. Also gives me cover in case Gabriel is benched. Yeah, if you like it, sure. Philip Bailey, I have 2 transfers. I was going to do Boomo to Gordon, now think Salah to Gordon and bring Mo back next week for Boomo. Punchy or worth a go? I wouldn't bother, personally. You're looking at doing it to put Gordon in now. The influence on this as well is the value, right? If you've just bought Mo Salah and you have no value held in him, then I don't mind that. You're going Boomo to Gordon, you put Gordon in for the run, and Boomo back to Salah next week, fine. If you're one of them who bought Salah at like 12.5, you ain't selling. It's just a reality. You're not. I bought at 12.8. It's not a consideration. Paolo says, Cunha to Jackson or roll. I think that's a roll for the moment. Nasty Biscuit Box. Hello, James. Should I play Porro or Delap? Forward. CC, thoughts on Delap as a striker option for next few weeks. Do I move him to João Pedro? Yeah, I'd be very tempted to do so. Yeah, absolutely. Tag says Ahmad or Johnson. Thanks, James. Start Johnson. Rennie says Solanke, keep or sell. It's probably a sell, but you need to know where you're going. Joey Samps, captain João Pedro. I don't think we could look at João Pedro as a certain starter this week. Wow. Okay. Are we sure that's right, Stian? Yeah, I just think that's a statement, mate. Thank you, buddy, but I think it's just advice for fans to be safe and stuff, not concerned about. I wouldn't be concerned about that at this stage. It's 10 to 11. No, I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. So I'm not even going to mention it. Bazadef CH says Captain Bruno. If you fancy, you'd be fucking gutted if he plays central midfield, wouldn't you? Connor White, big up James with Gabriel and Rogers doubts to start. Thinking of upgrading Mikolenko to Vardiol now with Liverpool fixtures. What? Because Vardiol's a certain starter as well. Thank you for subscribing. Khalil says a no from me. Khalil says, would you sell Haaland for Watkins and captain him for the week? No. If I had Haaland this week, I'd hold him. Yeah, I've disregarded Stian. Yeah, thank you, mate. I read the rules. Daniel Parcell says, who would you want to replace Sonny if he left Spurs? Mitoma. Yeah, I've said that so many times for years. Pretty much since the first time I laid eyes on him, I was like, he would be, well, not since the first time I laid eyes on him, but since Ange has been in charge, I've been like, he would be so perfect for us. So, Mitoma, mate. Won't score the goals that Sonny scores, but so perfect for the system and how we'd want to play. Gareth Pushty says, hi James, you've covered Boomo, but what about keeping both Boomo and Vista if selling both means getting Jackson this week? Appreciate all the good work you, Clayton and Suj do. Cheers, you're welcome. But there's another transfer in there, isn't there? I mean, look, despite all the vulnerabilities about Tottenham, there's a fair chance Romero might play tomorrow, right? Am I flipping that this week? No. Am I flipping that next week? Yes. I probably wouldn't bother now. Joey Kneecap says, James, trains getting cancelled around Manchester. I read. Any fear for United v Forest getting called off? No. Wouldn't have thought so, mate. There's a big-ass long road from Old Trafford back to the city centre, down kind of like a dual carriageway, and people can use their legs. And if the tram's working, it doesn't matter anyway. Jerry Samps, his thoughts on Captain João Pedro, minutes risk. I'm not in Manchester, Joey, so I can't tell you anything. But at the moment, I can only tell you there is no concern at this moment. Joey Sampson's thoughts on Captain João Pedro. Minutes risk. Yeah, it's too punty, I think, mate. Howard Green says, if Gabriel does not play, what are your thoughts on Vandenberg starting? Or do I transfer someone in of equal or less value? There's no reason to think Vandenberg wouldn't start, mate. Christopher Agea could be available, but it's more likely that would he'd play at fullback instead of Lewis Partonhead moving further forward. JS says, hey James, is there a chance any other games gets postponed? Is there a chance? Yeah, of course there is. Is it likely? As we stand, no. Eddie says, Cunha to Isak or Johnson to Gordon. Thanks, mate. Neither at this moment in time. Sit tight. Billy Howlett says, hi James, why FPL idiots not moving the deadline back as first game is now 3 p.m. and it has to be a chance Man United game gets called off as just down the road from Everton? It's not quite just down the road. It's quite a lot more inland. And I think that's an impact here as well. It's a lot more inland. FPL Hitman says, smash a like and subscribe, folks. Thank you, mate. Charlie Bridge, morning, James. Does it feel weird captaining a player against your club? No, it just feels like the right choice, mate. I've done it before. It's been a while, but it just feels the right choice. I defy anyone to tell me that I've got a better choice in my team this week than Cole Palmer for captaincy. So it's just a choice. It hasn't actually got that much to do with the opponent. The one really to take on this week, in my opinion, is Watkins. I think Palmer is a better choice this week than Haaland. And that's because of the way Tottenham defend and the way Crystal Palace defend. And if Romero doesn't make it, it's definitely the right choice. Now, Romero might make it, and that might make a bit of a difference, but there is obviously the possibility that could go off tomorrow. And there is also the possibility that my team could play well, and Romero plays, and we win the game. Definitely a possibility. He's also going to have the biggest EO by distance this week. Actually feels like quite a sensible call. I'm not bothered. I hope he blanks, mate. Absolutely. I couldn't care less. I hope he gets sent off. Couldn't care less, mate. I just think it's the right decision. I don't worry about the outcome. It's the process of the decision. Once that deadline goes, there's nothing else I can do, mate. It's out of my hands, and what will be will be. And I'm captaining him. I hope he blanks, mate. It won't be a moment in the game where I even think about it. Demand the Myth, the Legend says, how's it going, James? Thoughts on what the mystery chip could be? Who cares? Look, there's no reason to be using any chips over the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, and then we're going to find out, mate. I've heard plenty of speculation. Plenty, but I don't know anything. I also don't really care enough. Whatever they do, fine. That's what they do. Maybe they'll release it on Christmas Day as a shit Christmas present. Tom Horsney says, hi James, who would you bench out of Lewis, Rain, Aitnori, Conser and Davis? Aitnori. Yvette says, can you please explain your thoughts on putting Cole over Aitnori and benching dilemmas? Yes. If Romero doesn't play, then that impacts Tottenham offensively. Massively. You've seen that Thursday night. Potentially, there's every chance then that Chelsea could keep a clean sheet. It's more likely that a good side like Chelsea keeps a clean sheet than a shit side like Wolves does. How many goals they conceded? 36 or something in 14. As is the best Sashin. So, do you know what you get for that sort of comment in here? You get hidden. I won't have blasphemy against other content creators, mate. Please respect others. Daniel Parcell says, who is the best 4.5-ish keeper to get now? Want to get rid of Flecken after this week. Wanted Sanchez, but concerned now. Who's the best for... I mean, Verbruggen would be an alternative, wouldn't it? That's pretty safe. Joey Sampson's thoughts... No, not on João Pedro, mate, no. Shaquille says, KDB. I think that stands for Kevin De Bruyne, mate. It's a no from me. FPL Opera, I have this channel on 15 minutes before the live, got my question typed out and ready to paste. Haha. It's probably a good way. I mean, look, there's over 1,000 of you in here, which is lovely to see. And there's under 50% of you have smashed a like. And if I'm regularly going to have over 1,000 in here, then we're going to have to go to Super Chats, aren't we? Keir Morrison says, g'day, James. 2 free transfers. 1, Wood to Isak. Roll the second transfer or use on Mikalenko to Kirkes or similar. I'm losing the will to live here, Kia. If rolling, okay, right. Wood to Isak, yes, good. Roll second transfer or lose Mikalenko to Kirkes, yes, both. Get them done. Justy says, need a Boomo replacement to fund Isak, 5.9 million. Semenyo, Iwobi, Enzo. Not Enzo for reasons already mentioned. Yes, I would still favour Semenyo over Iwobi as it goes. Oh no, I've lost my place in the chat. Diggersby United, you don't need to put the message in a couple of times, and I think that's overlooking into the statement, mate, which is absolutely fine, and that's what I wasn't going to read out. Simon H says, after getting beaten by a team they were expected to beat, shouldn't Spurs batter Chelsea based on their form this season? We might well do if Christian Romero plays. We got a chance. Joey Mazzy Sarr says, start of last season you said you thought Ange Spurs would beat Poch Spurs. Do you stand by this? Sorry for annoying question. Respect. Was that start of last season? Yeah. No, I wouldn't think that now, no. Sheriff Gabba says, hi mate, best 5.1 or below to rotate, thanks. Let me clarify that though, Joe, just on that question. If Ange is managing that team, I'm going to go yes. If he's managing the same two teams, I'm going to go Ange's team. Sheriff Gabba says, hi mate, best mid 5.1 or below to rotate, thanks. Dibbling, but you just not rotate. Torlista, what's up with Salah? You ain't playing, buddy. Raj Gonka, De Bruyne captain. I can always tell the bit where we started getting to the questions where these have definitely been submitted after the stream's already started. Nimjo Man, hi James, love the content, always so insightful, thank you mate. Paul Mansell, does this make an extra double game week likely? Yes, I'll explain in more detail on Monday. Please listen to the start of the stream. I'm not going to repeat it again, but thank you. Preston says, Boomo to Rodgers, no. Charlie Bridge, hi James, what would be your predicted Spurs lineup for Sunday? It's on the screen, it will rotate in the bottom right hand corner at some point. Vutshilia says, why Palmer over Saka captain? Question would be, why not, mate? Preston Chirel says, are you getting Trent next week? If you are, what's your move? Not planning to. Doesn't mean I won't, but I'm not planning to. Sheriff says, Enzo, Suchek, Ahmad, Andreas, Damsgaard. As in, you want to buy one of them, yeah? None of them. Dibbling. Pranaya says, sorry for the double message, posted by mistake, and by the time I realised I could not find a message. That's okay, mate, thank you. Samson says, swap Rao to Evan Nilsson this game week. I covered that for someone else. I'm going to say probably yes. Or use Boomer money next week to buy Jackson, in which case I'm going to say no. DT, love the content, James. I'm on wildcard. Who would you be targeting and avoiding? That's interesting. But still be putting Liverpool players in there. But I'd be setting something up in terms of punting to then probably move to Salah next week, although you probably already got the value left in him, so in which case hold. All the players have been mentioned on this stream, mate. It's not going to be wild. Treble Arsenal, bit of Brighton, bit of Bournemouth. Keep some Liverpool, Chelsea you want in place. Maybe a little bit of Newcastle to attack at this moment. Stuff like that, mate. Capil says, Greaves or Diblin, which one to bench? Probably Greaves. Adash says, start 8 Norrie, Hall or Porro. They're all on the bench in dilemmas below me. Very nice-ish says, Boomer to Gordon or Bowen for 1 free transfer. What if Boomo home form persists? Exactly that. I'd be rolling, mate. Patrick Coakley says, keep saying error when I try to confirm a transfer. I have internet but not working. Anyone else finding this? Probably going to say no. It's about 2 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys. Please be getting those teams locked in. I'm just going to have a check to see if we got any messages going round. I'm not aware of anything that's a concern at this stage. Next up is Balkan Mag. Who would you bench out of Greaves, Lewis and Hall? Greaves. Neil S. Hi mate, good luck this week. Start Hall or Dunk this week. Surely Boomo bangs now. I've shipped him out. Probably. Close stack. Dunk is the right answer on the fixture. I'm not convinced he starts personally. Next up is Stephen Smalley. I'm in Merseyside. Horrible weather here. Stay safe, Stephen. Bellon says, just ran. I did wildcard last week and did 20 points worse than the original team. Avoided another fall by Captain Palmer this week. Adash says, start 8 Norrie, Hall or Porro. Just done that, mate. Moheb says, Boomo to Semenyo or Gordon. Again, if it's hold Boomo this week, make different moves next week. Ahmed says, Captain and Vice, Saka Palmer from the same city. Yeah, mate, it's London. We're not expecting any bad problems. What should I do? Should I captain a player, vice captain a player from Manchester instead? Is that safer? Listen, if all the games in London got postponed tomorrow, we're all absolutely fucked anyway. Chris said, Villa statements ended. We look forward to seeing you at the game. Exactly that, Chris. Yes, that's why I didn't mention it. Rohan says, hey James, what do you make of Jackson captain over Palmer? I've covered. Casey Wolf, I don't know what's happened to my voice, said, just did Bowen in for Salah. Think he might go wild against my team. Okay, mate, I wish you luck. We are at deadline. Thank you, Stian, for clarifying for everybody. Sorry to those that didn't get through. I did my very, very best. Really nice to see so many of you in the chat this game week and watching live. It's truly appreciated. Hit the sub button, subscribe to the content. If anybody's got any non-FPL questions, pop them in the chat. Happy to cover for 10-15 minutes or so, and then I'll go through the team news from Everton and Liverpool. I won't, obviously. Content, before I do that, I can tell you, Sid will be with me for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Tuesday, I'm going to do an Ask James stream on Tuesday this week. That will become clear why in a second. Wednesday will be the Clayton and James show. Then I'm off to Glasgow. So that means my start of the week is very, very busy. It means a lot of pre-recording for me. So on Thursday, we'll have Chelsea versus Brentford Clash of Correspondence for you with Gary Mantle and Tom Med. And on Friday, another Clash of Correspondence for you, Brighton versus Crystal Palace with Sam Murray and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd previewing the motorway rivalry. I will be recording those podcasts on Monday and Tuesday before I go to Glasgow. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. In terms of content from Intermediate Plus and above, in terms of the podcast next week, it will be Q&A Monday, Tuesday UCL Fantasy, Wednesday Ham and Ass, Clayton and Suj. Thursday will be a quiz. Friday will be the differential show with Clayton and Suj as well. Advanced tier content will still be ongoing all week long. For advanced tier patrons, I can tell you the team news stream will be next Saturday morning once I've got back from Glasgow. And the deadline stream, obviously available to everybody, is at the later time next week because there is no 12:30 p.m. kickoff next week. So it will be a 12:30 p.m. deadline stream next week. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Do it because you would like access to the additional content, or because you want to support the show. And that additional content isn't just the podcasts and the videos. You can sign up for free and support the show, and you'll get access to the best bits, so you can see some of the stuff we do on Patreon, so you can try before you buy. From basic tier, you got no ads and early releases, so audios and videos will go out earlier on Patreon, and they'll go out with no ads. So if you want to support the show for a couple of quid a month, you've got no ads from basic tier as well, and slightly earlier releases. From basic plus, you've got access to our Slack community as well, in terms of some amazing ITK. No, I'd lie, I make that up. Sometimes we've got it. Support the show if you can at www.patreon.com/planetfpl. It is my birthday on Friday, so buy me a fucking birthday present. Right, non-FPL question. Digit07 says, what's your Greg's order? What isn't on the order? It depends. Always the sausage roll, that's a given. Don't mind a steak bake. Don't mind a sausage, cheese, bean, melt. Steak bake. It's not steak bake, I should just say. If the pizza slices look good, I don't mind. Like the muffins in there. Sometimes I'll fancy a toasty. Yeah, nothing's off table, mate. Look at me. Gavin Richardson says, ever done a Christmas party gone wrong in football podcast? At a Toon Secret Santa once, Diddy Hamann got a copy of Mein Kampf and Pistoni an actual pig's heart because he didn't have any. No, I haven't and probably won't, Gavin. Steroberts 8, who do you predict will make the best improvements to their squad in January? Manchester City. Because they've got to. Colin Johnson says, how did you feel, James, about the fans' reaction and posts on media about Ange on Thursday after the game? There's levels, right? So the anger I understand, right? If you went up there or down there on Thursday, I obviously couldn't get a ticket. I mean, I wouldn't have been shouting abuse because it's no point. You're not making anything better. You're not making anything better. But I do understand the anger from some. There are levels to it, though. You know, calling. You can hear one video going around where someone calls him like a fat Aussie bastard, and it's just like it's no need for that shit, man. But I understand the anger because it was pitiful, right? You've gone down there, it's wet, it's rainy, you can't get home, you've got to stay there, or you're getting a coach back that gets back at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Like, come on, man. You have every right to like show your displeasure with that, but there are levels to how it can be done. So I understand the anger. The social media stuff, I understand the anger as well, but then there's levels to it. It's always kind of hyper drama, it feels, with the Tottenham fan base. We're either brilliant or terrible, and sometimes the answer lies somewhere in the middle. And at the moment, it lies somewhere in the middle. I think the fixtures we had this week were terrible for us. I spoke about that on the Game Review podcast yesterday, because you only have to look at the underlines of Fulham and Bournemouth. They're actually performing like top 6 sides this week. Not this week, this season. I don't think they've stayed there, by the way, but the underlines suggest that they could. So, like, but on Fulham, Bournemouth, like, yeah, get it. You know, should we be taking 1 point from the 2 games? No, of course not. But we can also explain it away a little bit. The season kind of ended for us a little bit in the short term with what happened with the Vicario injury at Manchester City. It's seismic. Not going to repeat all the things I said yesterday. So it's in a bad place. I'm very much on side with Ange. I definitely think he makes mistakes, doesn't help himself. I think sometimes he's got to show a little bit of adaptability, but I also have respect for him staying to his principles and playing the way we do. And when it goes well, like it did at Manchester City, no one's critical, are they? So, you know, Romero and Van der Ven didn't play that day, so that's not the problem, is it? The goalkeeper is such a big deal, and I know a lot of people think Vicario is crap. That's fine if you do, but in terms of how it affects how we play, someone asked earlier about like a Colwell clean sheet, and I said, telling you, like, Romero not playing impacts us offensively. So, yeah, look, I'm still on side with Ange. I think this thing doesn't help himself. Things like set pieces, someone needs to smash his head against the wall and get someone to look at that properly, or someone different needs to look at it, or he needs to appoint someone new to the coaching team or something, because it's a minor detail that just costs us over and over again. But I'm still absolutely on side with Ange. I don't think losing 4 or 5-0 tomorrow would change that, in my opinion. I don't see what Tottenham change in the immediate that makes this better. Nothing. Genuinely nothing. So no, I'm on board with staying. I think a lot of them players I'd like to get shot of. I think a lot of them aren't good enough. Again, I spoke about that yesterday on the Game Review pod as well, particularly in the offensive areas, actually. Some of the younger players like Udogie, who's not playing as well this season, but he's still young. He's got huge potential for what he can be as a player. So, yeah, I would be sticking with Ange at the moment, personally. I don't see what changing is the right thing to do here. Yes, there are problems with it, but there are so many players there that are not to the level required to play the system that he wants to play. So what we're going to do is just waste another 18 months and then just go and do another strategy again. This can't be the answer every time that something goes wrong at the football club. It's just sack the manager. There are problems there with the playing personnel squad. The squad is not strong enough. He asked the question yesterday, like, you know, who of Tottenham's kind of expected lineup tomorrow if Romero is injured would get in the Chelsea lineup, and I defy anyone to tell me any Tottenham player. So we're behind. We're also only 3 points off 5th. 5th is probably going to be enough for Champions League this season. It's probably only going to require sort of 63, 64 points. We're not out the running for that. No one's out the running for that except probably the bottom 6 or so. So, no, I'm not for changing. We're in a really difficult moment. I think we should stick. I think if there are players not pulling their weight, I would back Ange to just jettison them out of the squad now and get his people. So if it meant he, just play at X, he thinks he's not putting the shift in, but it makes the team weaker in the immediate, fine, make the team weaker. I'm there for sticking with him, mate. And I said I wouldn't speak about it more, but you can tell like what it means to me. So yeah, I'm still on board with Ange. It's definitely criticisms of him. I'm not blind to that. But no, I want him to stay my football manager. I don't understand if this football club changes at the moment. Next up says FPL Hitman, what goalkeeper do you think Spurs buy in January? Who do you feel should come in? Go and get someone who can genuinely compete with Vicario to be number one, but I understand it's probably very difficult to do in January. You've certainly got to look out of this country if you do that sort of thing. I think quite clearly Tottenham needed a better number 2 anyway. I think there's a danger if they buy a good number 2 that they never look at improving on Vicario. And I think we should get in a position where ultimately we buy someone that pushes Vicario. In the short term, something like James Trafford seems like a solution that probably works for everybody. It's not ideal, but as a number 2 keeper, that's fine. Burnley get money, we get a homegrown player, we get better cover in the immediate. There's a lot of reasons to think something like that would work. I know they've also been looking at Patterson at Sunderland, but I can't profess to have seen him play, so can't really comment on that. But I suspect Tottenham will be looking outside of this country. What Tottenham should do is, if they can, I mean, they bought Vicario from Empoli, right? If Tottenham can buy from, you know, a club that's kind of not a top tier, someone who can really compete with Vicario, that's what they should be doing, and it should probably be a name of someone that I haven't heard of. James Brennan says, hi James, where do you think Spurs rank in terms of starting 11 and squad in the Prem? Feel like it feels fairly weak as a collective. Cheers and enjoy Glasgow. In terms of a starting 11, like if everyone's fit and available, I think we're probably the 5th best team. But you start taking components out of that, and that quickly falls down. Francis Logan says, take a Celtic scarf into Ibrox and sit back and watch the reaction. Yeah, you're okay, Francis. He won't be doing that. FPL Hitman says, what have you made of Amorim so far? Yeah, good. Look, you can see clear principles, structures and ideas, but it's very difficult to judge at this stage. One, because there's been so much rotation, and two, they've only played really good team or really weak teams. So, I kind of more judge them more, looking at the fixtures and what's coming up. A judge of them and where they might be next year, ironically, is something like Bournemouth, I think, in a couple of weeks. And then maybe playing Newcastle a couple after that. Dijit says everything basically. I don't know what to, but yeah. George Ashington says, happy birthday for Friday. James, it's mine too. Happy birthday to you, George. Have a good one. I wish it wouldn't come round. It's just another year closer to passing away, isn't it? God, that's dark, isn't it? Pranaya says, do you think this postponement is good for Liverpool? No McAllister, Kanate, Alisson, Jota and all knackered players in addition to the 12:30 kickoff. Heard now got to play the game at the night game and it'll be a better atmosphere at Goodison when it is. So it depends when it lands, right? It's reality. It also depends on the player's fit. When it comes around, what's to say Salah won't be injured? So I think it's probably a postponement that probably, yes, on the face of it, it's probably not terrible timing for Liverpool in the sense they've just got off the back of Newcastle, City and Madrid, and they can play a little bit of a stronger team against Girona now on Tuesday, and I think that we're going to mass rotate, and then they can, really, if they hit 18 points, if they go down and win Tuesday, then they're guaranteed top 8, and they can just completely sack off the 2 games in January, which if they win their Carabao Cup quarter-final at Southampton would be particularly useful. Treble says, will Ange last the season? I rate him. I hope so, mate. I'm not naive enough to think that you can't just be losing every game and think no one's going to change. But yeah, I think I've just said enough. Tajit says, hope you have a great weekend, James. Stay safe and good luck for the game tomorrow. Hoping for goals. Thank you. Ali Moshan says, do you think England can win the World Cup with the current generation of players? Yes, of course we can. Will we? Probably not. Can we? Yeah, of course. Barry Morrison, prediction score for Ibrox on Thursday. 2-1 Rangers. Yeah, they'll be so up for it, won't they? So, and we're probably going to need to rotate a few players again and stuff, and there is nothing really to rotate at the moment. So Bentancur will play, obviously that's one we can rotate. Yeah, Rangers probably win, I should imagine. Gavin Richardson says, have you had a big tasty recently? They're on the McDonald's Xmas menu. Bring back Lascelles challenge. Not for a while, no. Ali Moshan says, I'm wearing the exact same shirt you were wearing. It's probably a bit tight on you, mate. Not because you're fatter. Just because you're taller, because I'm so short. Sorry, that came out really badly. I didn't mean it that way if you read it that way. Does this mean I have good taste in clothes or bad taste in clothes? FPL Uproar says, like the stream, guys. FPL Hitman says, cheers, James. Have a good weekend. Thanks for everything you do. You're very welcome. I think that's it then. So we'll leave it there. Smash the like, hit the sub button. Thank you very much to everybody who contributed in the chat and has liked and subscribed. As I said, if you can support the show, it'd be hugely appreciated. www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Deadline stream will genuinely be a little bit later for you next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Deadline, as says. So you'll be back with me for the Game Week Review podcast on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Hope your arrows are green. Be nice to each other. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.